Hey everyone, welcome to Business Growth Talks. Today we are going to do a very interesting, in my view, really interesting deep dive into the UK and its decline. And there's a lot of people talking about this. There's been politicians, there's been people in the media, there's been journalists, all talking about the decline of the UK. And I'm going to talk about that today in this episode. There are various compelling arguments that evidence that the economic data, political analysis, and cultural observations is that we are in decline in the UK. One of the primary indicators of the UK decline is its economic performance. According to analysis, UK economy has been struggling with slow growth, high inflation, and stagnating wages. This will highlight the country's GDP growth has been lagging behind other advanced economies, pointing to a systemic issue in productivity and investments. So let's think about the long-term economic struggles that we've been facing. We've been facing a global economic shift in the last 15 years. This decline is relating to things like Brexit, which has created an uncertainty and a reduced amount of investment, and the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exacerbated our weaknesses. Political instability is another critical factor contributing to the perceived decline. We are going to talk about the tumultuous state of British politics, characterized by frequent leadership changes, divisive policies, and the lack of coherent long term strategy. The instability undermines the confidence both domestically and internationally, impacting economic and social stability. Just thinking about this political trajectory that points to a worrying trend of authoritarianism. There is a shift in the increasing centralization of power, erosion of democratic norms, and rising populism. Such political changes threaten the foundation of the principles of democracy, which is such a cherished thing in the UK, and it contributes to the decline. The Conservative government been in for 14 years. That's one thing, good or bad, but people like Boris Johnson and Liz Truss has dropped the trust in our politicians, which is causing a political erosion. Also, that people have talked about a perceived cultural erosion, looking at while traditional British values and institutions are seen as being eroded. This erosion is partly driven by socio-political changes and economic pressures, leading to a fragmented society where common culture and social bonds are weakening. Now, I know a lot of the right of politics, and I don't really want to delve into it, but we have to. It's the type of subject that you have to do a little bit of politics in there. And the thing is, a lot of the right wing of the country, Nigel Farage's and other people, are saying that there's a massive decline in the UK. I don't subscribe. I'm not going to go into my political views, but is a decline in economic factors, 100%. Political instability is causing a problem because so many changes of governments, and those traditional values that some people love, some people don't, but those values are changing in the society. One of the areas that the UK prides itself on and is the envy of the world in most cases, is the NHS. This is one of the visible signs that the UK is declining. It used to be a beacon of public healthcare. It's now struggling under significant pressures, issuing underfunding, staff shortages, and increased waiting lists for treatment. According to various sources, the NHS is facing one of the worst crises, and the patient's long waiting list from emergency services to routine operations. There are tens of thousands of vacancies of doctors and nurses. This has been a shortage of existing staff, is contributing to high burnout and high turnover of rates of employees. We're going to talk about COVID in a minute. It had a massive impact on the economy, on the NHS, but this is something that we should be very proud of, and it's just not being funded correctly. Whatever the solution is, I'm not going to go into policies or what solutions are, but we need to do something about it. COVID was definitely a massive issue that has impacted the economy as well as the country. But one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about was poverty. Poverty is becoming an increasingly severe issue in the UK, further underscoring the nation's decline. Economic challenges such as stagnant wages and rising living costs have contributed to growing numbers of individuals and families struggling to make ends meet. There are people that are reliant on food banks and social services more than ever. The economic stagnation exacerbated by Brexit and COVID-19 has resulted in job losses and a reduced income, pushing more citizens into poverty. This is a massive issue which just isn't being discussed. This situation is dire in urban areas, and the cost of living crisis which we're going through is much higher, and public services are stretched. Now, there is an elephant in the room which I'm going to talk about now, which is Brexit. And you might have views on positive and negative of the decision, but I think we can see that it's had a profound and multifaceted impact on the UK. Economically, Brexit has introduced significant uncertainty and instability. The EU was not perfect, but it was an incredible investment and growth area, and it contributed to economies on the global stage. Trade barriers and loss of seamless access to the EU market has disrupted supply chains, increasing the cost of businesses and lead to job losses in the severe sectors. So this has been a completely polarizing conversation, and leadership have flip-flopped between with what they're going to do. They have been dedicated to sticking to Brexit. All parties pretty much are doing that, but it has increased turmoil. Long-term strategies for government has been constantly changed because of the fact that Brexit has had such a huge impact, and the investment from other countries and these treaties have not been done quickly enough, in my view. Lastly, the UK importance on the global political scale has diminished, reflecting its broader decline in the world. Once a dominant global power, the UK now finds its influence waning due to several factors, including Brexit, which has left it isolated from its European Union friends and weakened its negotiating power. The UK's departure from the EU has not only strained its relationship with European allies, but also reduced the leverage on the international diplomacy level. It has led to internal political instability and has undermined the ability to project power and influence across the global stage. The decline is also evident in the UK reduced role in international organisations and forums, where its voice is less prominent compared to its rising powers like China and India. The overall picture is one of a nation struggling to maintain its historic stature and influence in a rapidly changing world. So, we have talked a lot here about the different reasons of the decline. I'm now going to give you a conclusion and hopefully a glimmer of hope as well. The UK has experienced a multifaceted decline over recent years, characterised by economic stagnation, political instability, cultural erosion, and significant challenges in public services like the NHS. Economic indicators, as discussed in various places, reveal a struggling economy with slow growth and high inflation exacerbated by Brexit and COVID. These events have created a perfect storm of intensifying existing issues and introducing new challenges such as disrupted trade and reduced investment. Politically, the UK has seen frequent leadership changes, which has been a massive issue, divisive policies that have weakened its democratic institutions and international standing. Socially, Brexit has amplified divisions within the country, creating a more fragmented society and a weakened traditional cultural bond. Public services, notably the NHS, are under significant strain with funding shortfalls, staff shortages, and increased waiting times for patients. Despite these challenges, there is room for optimism. The UK still possesses considerable strength, including a resilient and innovative population, world class education institutions, and a rich cultural heritage. These assets provide a strong foundation for recovery and renewal. By addressing the root causes of the decline and leveraging its inherent strengths, the UK has the potential to rejuvenate its economy, stabilise its political landscape, and strengthen its societal fabric. So, in conclusion, while the UK has been accelerated in decline due to Brexit and COVID and other things, the nation is inherently resilient, and has potential for innovation, offering pathways to recovery. By fostering unity, investing in public services, and embracing global cooperation, the UK can overcome its current challenges and emerge stronger, reaffirming its place on the world stage. So that's my thoughts on the decline of the UK. It's definitely happening, but there is room for optimism. We can turn this around as a country, and I believe that we have the opportunity and have the potential to do that. Thank you so much for your time. Please do give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. Hit me down in the comments if you got anything that I've missed, anything that you think that I should have included, or have a different opinion on me. Is the UK not in decline? Are we actually growing positively within the world stage? Up to you. Hit me in the comments. And please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. It super helps the channel. It means that it elevates the channel, and that can only be a good thing for the channel and for you as well that's listening. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely day, and on to the next one.